Okay, welcome back to Classroom Management 101. I am Lauren Krupp, and so today now we're going to be talking about procedures, identifying those procedures. Now, if you are in the lower grades, you're going to have, I think you're going to have more procedures than maybe someone in the secondary level. You know, because if you're a secondary teacher, more than likely you're only going to have a kid for a 50 to 90 minute block. And then they're gone. And your procedure can stay consistent from class to class. But if you teach in the lower grades, you guys have a lot more to think about in terms of procedures. How do we line up for lunch? How do we go to PE? How do we line up at recess? When do we sharpen our pencil? If we take a potty break, how does that happen? How do we walk in the hallway? What do we do when we get to the library? What do we do before school? What do we do before the bell rings? Etc., etc., etc. And if you think about that, think about how many things little kids have to learn how to do, but they can do it. So the first thing your first responsibility, in my opinion, my suggestion, your first responsibility is to identify those procedures. What are those procedures? And I guarantee you, as many as you come up with, or as many as you think of, there's something's going to come up, and you're going to have to come up with a procedure for that, and that's okay. All right, those things happen, and we learn as time goes on. But if you can kind of have an idea of things ahead of time, you'll be more prepared to identify the procedure and create a procedure and teach that procedure. So let me say this, on the opposite of that, I think you can have too many procedures in place. I have seen people have procedures for using Kleenex and for using Germ-X, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I think those things are kind of extreme in a secondary situation. Now, in a first grade situation, I think it's perfectly okay to have a pictorial representation of a procedure. For example, if you have Germ-X in your classroom, I don't know, it just depends on your school's policy or whatever, but let's just say you do. I think it's okay to have a picture, especially if kids, can't read, that shows one squirt and go back to your desk. Something like that. I think that's okay. I think kids need to know one squirt is all you need. You don't need to, do this, because I have worked in situations, and actually this is kind of heartbreaking. I've seen kids use that to clean their face because they didn't have anything else. So you've got to think about those things. You've got to think about all the subtleties and what the kids are coming with. Consider where your kids are coming from. If they have never had access to Germ-X, it's a novelty to them. One of the things that I had in my classroom, and big mistake, I don't recommend it. I had to put it away. And if I do have this year, because it's kind of a reward, it's kind of an incentive, so to speak. I take all of my old Bath and Body Works lotions that, I'm tired of the scent or whatever, and I have them in a basket in my classroom. I remember that French teacher that I was telling you guys about in a previous segment. And I remember one day she had this, it was when Bath and Body Works first came out with Cotton Blossom lotion. And we were all so excited when she would get out the Cotton Blossom lotion, and everybody got to take a little bit of lotion and put lotion on their hands. As silly as that sounds, it's something I remember. It was a really cool thing. So I have that. However, I don't think I should just put a basket of all of these, scents of lotion in my classroom. I need to do what Madame did and have one scent and pass it around as kind of a thing. So I need to be more creative about that. So let's think about common procedures. And The first one, and probably the most important one, is going to get your day off to a good start, is how the kid enters your classroom, whether it's kinder or senior math, calculus, whatever it is. What is the procedure for coming into your classroom? Do you have bell work ready to go? Are they supposed to be working on the bell work? Are they supposed to be in their seat when the bell rings? Et cetera, et cetera. Is it okay if they're sharpening their pencil out of their seat? Or do pencils need to be sharpened before class starts? Or, is the kid supposed to get a pen out of the teacher pen bucket? Whatever that is. So, first thing, how do we enter the classroom? All right, second thing, and this is what this is the procedure for teacher time. So, teacher time is when I am teaching, and during that time, there's going to be a procedure for that, okay? Kids need to know that there is a time that we need to sit and listen, okay? Now, in that respect, and we're going to get into this in instructional strategies, but we're not going to get into it here, all right? Don't overtalk them. Don't sit there or stand at your podium or whatever for 50 minutes and blah, 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 okay? They're not with you, okay? They're writing notes, or they're daydreaming, or they're not with you. So we'll get into that later. But we do need to have a procedure in place for how do I conduct myself when there is an adult or a speaker sitting in front of me, okay? What do I do, all right? A very, very critical procedure is substitute. How do I conduct myself when a substitute is here? Okay, so you need to have a substitute plan and a substitute procedure. Second thing is a transitioning plan. So if we move out of teacher time, which is, the delivery of the instructional content, whatever, and we move into some other activity, how do we transition into that activity? Transitions are really important. Do you want to spend 5 minutes getting your kids settled down to do some sort of 5, 10, 15-minute activity, and it cuts down on your plan for the day? Or would you like it to happen within 15 to 30 seconds? And I would prefer that it happen in 15 to 30 seconds. So identify that transition time. How do we move from one activity to another within the classroom? The next one is group work. We've got to have a procedure for group work. And what are we going to do when we're sitting in a group setting and we have a disagreement or we need help? How loud can we talk? What level of voice do we have? What should the work look like? What should I be doing? How should this look? Those are the kind of things we need to think about when we identify procedures. I think we also probably need to have a procedure for leaving the classroom as well. I think it's easier in an elementary setting, okay? We're going to spend the next 10 minutes organizing everything, getting our papers where they need to go, making sure our books are in the right place, getting our backpacks loaded up, lining up, getting ready for the bus. It may not take 10 minutes. I don't know. It just depends on how young they are. In a classroom that's about 50 minutes, one of my procedures is, okay, we've ended our lesson, so you can pack up, but I have an exit ticket, and you don't leave the classroom until I get my exit ticket in the bucket. All right, those sorts of things. Another procedure that I think all teachers should have is when they're transitioning out of the classroom as a group or going to the bathroom individually, something like that. When they leave the classroom, but it's still in your class time, How are they expected to conduct themselves in the hallway? All right. They need to get where they're going. They need to take care of their business, and they need to return promptly. All right. They don't need to be talking. They don't need to stop and talk. They don't need to disrupt others. And that's really hard when you're traveling in a group. For example, if I have to take my group to the auditorium for an assembly, I want my kids to be quiet because there may be some that are still in class. We don't know. So those are some of the things that we want to think about. So let's recap. We have entering the classroom, leaving the classroom. We have teacher time. We have transitions within the classroom. We have group work. We have transitioning out of the classroom individually or as a whole during your instructional period. And the last one that I forgot, and it's an important one, is individual work. What do I do when I'm working by myself? That's another procedure we need to follow. So those are some ideas to get you started. Create a list of procedures, and in the next segment I will go through my list of procedures, because this is a really good reminder for me. I had my posters that year before last, didn't have them up this year, and I'm gonna have to put them back up. Like I said, I had kids that kind of knew the drill, but now I've got some new ones and they need to know how it goes. So think about those things if you teach in the lower grades, or if you teach in a classroom with students who have learning disabilities to whatever extent. I recommend visuals. I recommend a visual picture to help the kids see what they're supposed to be doing. So make a list of your procedures, identify what you want that procedure to look like, and next time I will share with you some of my procedures. So you guys have a great day, and I will check you later.